We are following Alimatu and her senior sister to go fetch water. That is one of the major problems in this community, lack of potable drinking water. So join us on this water finding journey. They remove their slippers here, a distance from the dam.
Hello?
Indeed, they have come a long way and may have picked something that could contaminate the water. 20. But upon arriving at the stream, I was appalled by the sight of the only source of drinking water in the community. And although the question of hygiene rang freely in my mind, I was helpless and could only ask, what choices do these people have?
She's saying that it's bad anyway, but that is the only source of drinking water for them. Until they get an alternative, they don't see it to be something difficult for them.
These women come to the dam with their children. With their gallons, they also try to help finish on time. Doesn't she fear the children could drown? Doesn't she fear the children could drown?
She's saying that when it is dry season, when it is in the dry season, all this water will dry off. But during this rainy season like this, it is dangerous. But they don't have any option then to do that, because that is the only source of water and they need to feed their family. And the children sometimes, if they want to go to this dam, they feel like following them to the dam. And for them, it is just like training them to also know how life is.
So, what happens during the dry season? Alimatu, what happens?
What she's saying is that there are some storm bridges along the route. Some at that place during the dry season, there are still some remains of the waters over there, and that is where they have to go and fetch the water. And sometimes they travel long distance to about 3 communities away from here to fetch the water over there, along the White Way of Volta.
According to my colleague Hashmin, who hails from the north, going to the stream or dam with a donkey is a preserve of just a few households. In fact, walking for 20 minutes with a donkey to get water is a luxury.
All right, you're still on my banner. It's 18 minutes after 7, and what you just saw is part of our conversation on International Day for the Eradication of Poverty. That is on the 17th of October. But this year, the day is being marked under the theme Building a Sustainable Future, coming together to end poverty and discrimination. Here in Ghana, we have the Livelihood Empowerment Against Poverty LEAP program. Is a social cash transfer program which provides cash and health insurance to extremely poor households across the country to alleviate short-term poverty and encourage long-term human capital development. We're going to scrutinize that particular project here on the show. The project is managed by the Ministry for Gender, Children and Social Protection. But big question, how far has the project gone in terms of poverty reduction, especially among rural women? I have with me Mr. John Alexander Akom, our own friend, who is the Deputy Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection. He is a Deputy Minister. Good morning to you, sir.
Yeah, good morning, Mama.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you very much for having me.
Today is not on all the other issues, but this is on a focus on the projects in the ministry.
Yes.
So this LEAP project, what stage are we in now?
Well, let me say that I'm very happy for the opportunity. In the context of the Ghanaians will need to understand the context of social protection and play a part in trying to let it develop and become very good and sustainable. But LEAP was started in 2007, 2008. It was started from 21 districts in 1,645 households. But gradually we are now at 100, almost 88 districts.
Okay.
And then in 119,000 households.
That's a lot.
Yes, to that extent, it has expanded widely. Our target, immediate target, we want to do is 150,000 households. End of year, starting next year, we should have done 200,000 households.
When you make your rounds, do you realize that people are poor today than they were in the past?
Not at all. The records is not inclusive. It does not indicate that. Rather, it depends on the level of poverty you want to measure. There's an extreme poverty, there's poverty, and then you move up the ladder. So in terms of real doing, no, we have actually improved drastically, and it is registered in the Millennium Development Goals. But we still have challenges to address. So there's poverty, but we have gone very, very far.
So what's our stage?
Well, I don't know what stage you're talking about, but if...
Because if you say there's extreme poverty...
as measurement, over the period, we've reduced poverty to 8.4% in terms of extreme poverty. So there's a development.
How are we measuring that?
Ghana Statistical Service standards. They have standards of measurement to see who belong to the extreme poverty and who belong to the poverty line. And that's why it was registered under the MDGs. So we've come very far, but that is not the end of the story. We need to do a lot.
So what's your target? Are you targeting extreme poverty, eradicating it?
Definitely, that's our target, eradicating extreme poverty. Difficult though it may seem, but generally extreme poverty we want to eradicate.
How far have you come? Have you measured?
No, they are now in the process. In fact, in the case of LEAP performance, there were two measuring authorities. One by ISA, Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research of Legon, and one by University of North Carolina. And the conclusion is that it is having a lot of effect economically in those areas. Indeed, they are saying that for every cedi spent, it cascades into 2.5 pesos, if you know, cedis in terms of the rippling effect. So they think it's a good project, we should go ahead.
Let's break the project down. What is it really for the ordinary person to understand? What is it?
Okay. Now, the whole world, what globally, United Nations, African Union, everybody wants to understand is that we should not build any country and leave some behind through vulnerability, through poverty, through discrimination, and all that. So you realize at any point in time, laws become enacted which address issues of inequality and discrimination. Now, all inclusiveness implies that nobody should feel eliminated by virtue of any reason at all, or poverty. So people should not go to school whilst others sit at home. So the main policy direction of free basic education, for that matter, the extension that is going to be done, and accessibility is to ensure that it should not be difficult for you to go to school. And what are the requirements? You should have a nutrition, if you like. You should have school uniform, is a problem. You should have school exercise book. You should have standards if it's important, and the school should be accessible to you to go to school, so that those people in that country are not discriminated against. So the purpose is that if you are so poor, how do we lift you out of poverty? Let's create those targeting for you. If you're able to target you, what happens to the house for the survival? Let's give some small cash, so that one will push you to do something else and not rely on your regular income to do that, if even you have it.
Okay.
And that is to make sure that we give you some small amount of comfort.
How much is that?
Yes, we started somewhere, and recently it has been increased. There are categories of households. If you know the categories of beneficiaries, if you target, we have 65 years and above without support. There are some who have a lot of support. Your mother definitely has a support. There is orphan but vulnerable children. Ghanaians are not generally orphans. You know, the extended family relationship. But if there's a situation where somebody is an orphan but no support left or right, we'll give you a caregiver and they will take care of you. And then the next point is about deformity. Disability without employment capacity. What it means is that someone is so deformed in terms of disability that he cannot do anything. Government will need to take care of you. So for some two categories, the old age without support and the disability.
And the orphan without support.
Yes, the orphan will graduate out of it, but the two of them will move to the end of the program. And that's the extent of the program. So they come and do what's called the enumeration. Remember when you do the census, 2010 census, the question they ask, if you do, what type of house do you live in? Block house or brick house or what? Mud house? How many rooms, how many family do you have in all? 10, 5, 8, 6. How many rooms do all of you occupy? Chamber hall, flats, and things like that. If at one point they were even measuring phone usage. Now, phone usage is not a measurement of poverty because everybody has it.
Yes.
But those questions are related to your level of poverty. So Ghana Statistical Service will do that one and plot the poverty profile. And we'll get the extreme poverty and get that. So before you can go, you can only take data from Ghana Statistical Service.
So that's what you're working with?
Yes, what is called the Ghana Living Standard Survey. And it will give you the communities. But even when they give you communities, it doesn't mean everybody in the community is in that extreme poor category. So you go into the enumeration. And then you subject the result that you get into a standard software system called the Proxy Means Test, which will bring out those who qualify. And then we'll start addressing you.
All right. So the 65, the old age, and the disabled with who does not have the capacity to work, how much do they get? Okay.
Now, what we do is that we measure it by household. Household is how many people are in the household. So we recently increased it. It was per cycle, meant 24, so 2 will be 48. Now we're talking about 64. We started the last month.
That's in 64 Ghana cedis.
Ghana cedis. That is when you have one of such persons in that household.
Okay.
If you have 2, it was 30. 2 months per cycle was 60. Now we're talking about 76. If you have 3, we're talking about 36 times 2, 72. Now we're talking about 88. If you have 4 and above, it was 45 times 2, 90 per cycle.
Okay.
But now we're talking about 106 Ghana cedis.
And you say the cycle is 2 months?
2 months.
So every 2 months, that's the money you would get?
Yes, yes. Yeah, every 2 months. And we are up to date with that payment. It is not done by us, it is done by various bodies. Ghana Post, GIPS, which is a software development, electronic transfer, MTN, IR Technologies, who do the payments.
Okay. So these 2 categories would not graduate.
No,
they are permanently on the program.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But the orphan that you found support for, how does it work? For how long do you support that person?
We are working on the graduation model. because there are other considerations coming in. Some will say our age should be 18. But 18, at what stage is the person? So we are now currently on the graduation model, and that will come very easily because we are almost at the end of bringing out what we call the social protection policy. You remember, it was not for nothing the president changed the nomenclature or the size, the mandate of the ministry from Women and Children Affairs to Gender, Children, and Social Protection. And that's a big area because the two of us could be very strong looking at us, but we can be vulnerable tomorrow. And vulnerability and social protection, everybody, if you go to the hospital now and they don't attend to you and they talk to you anyhow, you become vulnerable. People take advantage of you. So we need to see it to the extent that people will give dignity and respect to all of us. So to that extent, social protection should cover anything and everybody. So that is what is going to come. So what the president has advised and we have done is that the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection should be the coordinating ministry for poor interventions. Now what it means is that we cannot be targeting anyway, anyhow we want it. We should well target what we want to do and what we want to give out. So that there are other proper interventions. There's a block farming, which Agric does. Health insurance is part of it. School uniforms is part of it. Education. We have all we have what we call a GSOP. GSOP we have labor-intensive public works. You go to the villages, instead of awarding contracts, no, let's give people to work to create some more small money for them in the community, dug out wells and things like that. All will come under what is called the National Targeting Unit, established at the ministry.
That will come. So this is not something that is on the ground
yet. You about a week or so from here, you see the launching of the National Targeting Unit, which we have finished, which will be called the National Household Registry. So whilst we are doing the coordination now, the process of adding and formalizing is the National Targeting Unit. So that no ministry, nobody can say, I'm going to this community to target without recourse to the targeting unit.
Okay.
Then they will advise you that we've gone this far. Top this one. This group, they need less depth. Let's give them skill training. They will move out. This school is a school problem. Let's put them. The family is capable of taking over. So we'll combine all those effects to leap people out of extreme poverty.
So social protection will be coordinating all that?
All proper interventions, a lot of them in the system. And we will need to quantify, because of the spread, at times I don't see the extent of it, government is investing in social protection with a huge value. So from all sectors, the coordination will bring to the fore how much we are investing and how much we should come to support. I mean, from various funding agencies, sustainability. What do we do? If you go to a place like Denmark, corporate institutions take off it. Aged group, they pay for it.
We've had the arguments.
Yes.
Indeed, one of my colleagues, Joseph Opoku-Gapo, did a documentary
Okay.
that we showed a bit of it here on the show. We had a conversation. And I think one of the proposals from some persons is for corporate Ghana to take responsibility of some of these things. But then the two of us also argued and analyzed it. Corporate Ghana, I mean, the corporate entities in Ghana are looking for profits. If we want to give them some of these responsibilities, it should be governments.
Unfortunately, in the context of modern day governance structure, corporate organizations are not only for the profit, they are for the interest of the community they live in. They have to buy in. It is part of the current method of responsibility.
But they would say that the economic situation in the country is not
forces
conducive.
you to do it. You do it as and when you can. But every company has that responsibility. These days, it's part of the governance situation. But it doesn't even end there. Government should take care. But remember, government takes money from you and me to be able to do that. So I'm saying that, how do we make it sustainable? There are various suggestions coming up. Common Fund is coming, part of talk time task. People are suggesting various ones. We're subsidizing fuel. Is that not true? Why do we subsidize fuel when we have the poor suffering? They subsidize fuel for me and you, and the poor suffers. Is it right? What do we do? Should we pay the royalty and get that money to support the social protection? These are all issues being discussed. Okay. We need to come to the conclusion.
Let me go back to the issue of the orphan, because you say that you are still working on how they graduate. So for now, what's happening?
No, we are paying. We are paying you. We are paying you.
Are they also on the same cycle?
Yes, the same cycle.
Okay.
Everybody.
So what, you give them to families or what?
Yeah, that's what we call households. Some of them, if you are aged 65 years, when it comes to you direct, the only category we give to a caregiver is for the orphan. For a person who has decided to take care of that particular person.
Okay. Because we're looking to eradicate poverty, and I'm wondering if I am giving you this amount of money every 2 months. You're looking forward to it. Does that encourage you to do something on your own?
Well, very, very, very interesting. Remember, it is not a minimum wage. Otherwise, we should create rather unemployment and pay for it. It is just a support. And that's why government says that there should be a coordinated effect in trying to address this poverty. So, for example, I told you about all the interventions. If you are targeted as a poor community, as an extreme poor, your children should go to school. Where should school uniform go? National Secretary will tell you this is where we need the school uniforms. You don't just go anywhere. Where should school feeding go? This is the community that's in the school feeding. And for all those categories, they are registered on the health insurance, free of charge.
Let me give
so
you...
it relieves you from extra burden so that the rest you have can cater for at least a nutritious meal for the family.
Okay. Let me tell you about the story that we aired yesterday, which is still very fresh on my mind.
Okay.
That's a community... this is a family, I mean, husband and wife. There's no potable water, just like these women we saw a while ago in the clip that we showed. The whole family has to, and obviously it's the children, they have to walk about 30 minutes or so to go and get water. And the water is not good at all.
Yes.
They do this in the mornings and in the evenings. This is the water that they fetch. The school is also very far from where they are. So they get to school, and instead of learning, they sleep when they are supposed to be learning. If you give a family like this, if you give them, I mean, if they're on this project, they're on this cycle, it still doesn't help solve their problems.
That's right. The money you are looking at is not for water. It cannot do water for you. So that is two different things altogether. The question is, even after fetching this water, how do they even survive? That's why you should be looking at that component of the money. But these are policy directions which are very important. In fact, in further discussion, this is the way to make policy. Location, community size, facilities, that's how to do it. That's what should inform an assembly's development program, which should be agreed on by National Development Planning Commission and the budget line. So while this is true, what you are saying in me is right. What we are doing at the ministry now is a project that's going to take 3 years. It's called Cost of Domestic Violence. Now, everything should be costed against our GDP. Because if you don't cost, you don't really see, and people don't even appreciate it. You should appreciate because you're in the press. Others are there, they've never even seen what they have to do. I was in Senate for the inauguration of the assembly, and I appreciated a lot of issues which we need to inform policy. So what we are doing is right. In Ghana, the trouble we have, having been in the local governance before, is the fact that people decide to go and settle somewhere. It's not a planned settlement where government extends facilities before you go, or where we use.
But do we even do that in Ghana?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Reality,
oh no, but it's the rich who benefit. The reality is still the rich. If you have estate developers in Accra who are building Trasaco and other areas, before you go, what do they tell you? Road start, water availability.
Yeah, but that's private development.
That is in
Does
in
government do that?
Oh, that's in the country. Government would not necessarily do that. But government had a lot of estate houses. Even before they came, who was doing it? It was government. But that's not the case. In any country,
recently,
government indeed gone there. Why should government go and invest in state development? You only create an environment, and then the private sector will take over. But the point, we have not come to the point where it's affordable for some of the people. So that is what should happen. But I'm saying that when you go to the rural areas, private will not go there because of the economic value of creating that position there. Government will do it. I mean, provision of goods and services. You're talking about water. Private person will not get there because you will not give the private person water. If there's a bridge going there, whether it's 500 people in the community, government have to take care of that particular situation. So there's a lot going, but this belongs to a district. And a district profile should indicate their needs, wants, and the profile. And that should inform their development. And that's very important for all of us to understand. That we don't just develop and say that I'm an assembly member, I'm MP, I'm this, I want it in my community. It should be according to the profile within that particular community. And which are the priorities. And that's why they have the substructures to talk about. Let's meet zonal level. What do I have? And which is the priority? Say, come on, our small money should go to this area for need of water. So we should push development in the area of the resources that go there.
But you do understand that some communities are totally cut off, even though they've been in existence for more than 50 years.
Why not? It is very true. We all know it. But the point is, as a government, the moment you get a community created, you are responsible. Whether you are aware or not, they are your people. So we shall continue as a country to get those programs. Normally, if you compare it to the developed world, it's different. Because there it is developed, then you move. You say, we are here, new community, then you move. Here it is not like that. The two of us go and get the farming to do. It becomes a problem. Community expands. Government has to move in. So at the government extends electricity at higher cost to the community, depending on how far is it from the center, than when you have a bigger in the urban community working on it. But it's a responsibility.
So how about a recommendation, for instance, because this particular community, can't remember the name, but it's close to Keta, I understand. How about relocating such communities where there are no amenities at all into the bigger communities where there's a bit of focus? Is there, like a recommendation that
social development,
social protection will probably want to take up?
Social development will not allow you to do that. And the development scientists will come in very strongly. The point is that in establishing a factory, even a factory for big companies, there are reasons why the location is very important. So even before you think about relocation, think about what took them there. There's some survivor that brought them to settle in that particular area. So you don't just move them, you look at their survivor. What can we do to support them? Unless it's practically impossible, you're going to do something in that area that's a minor activity. If not, you address what to move them there. And location of even your company is a vital area of work.
But if for instance, it's farming, and I know that most of these communities are involved in farming, there's no school in that community, there's no hospital. And I think there was another community that was so close to Togo, so people would want to go into Togo because it takes about 15 minutes for them to walk there to seek health care, or sometimes to go to the markets and buy some of the things that they can't get.
I tell you what is happening in modern day, and you would appreciate. It's happening in South America. Those on the Amazon line, they don't want to come to town. They don't need your so-called civilization and development. They are comfortable in their natural habitats. They only come to town once a week to sell the oil, and buy only oil, and go back to the base. They don't need your TV, they don't need anything. They are all right. And people have come back to appreciate those things, to go back. Move from Accra to the hinterlands, and you get different impression of people, the environment, and everything. So, whilst you may be right, some can be resettled depending on resources, but some, you should let them operate where they are comfortable and see how the resources can get closer. At times, the trouble are distances. You move from here, you go far off. Government may not have got you to go there, but that's the situation. What do you do? So there are a combination of effects. But when it comes to social development, the considerations are very different. Unfortunately, it's not a linear curve. It's a very important issue, and other derivatives come in.
So do you make recommendations? I mean, when what you're trying to do is to support them with the monies that you give them, but
it's one part of it.
One part of it.
Yes.
What are the
other
other
parts?
parts?
Are all the other social interventions that go with it. Yes.
Because that's the connection I'm trying to make.
Yes.
And that's obviously can't be done by your ministry.
Yes.
So what do you do? I mean, do you call on the assembly? This community needs water, irrespective of what we give them. They still need to survive on something. They need a school. They need a toilet.
What we do is that it's with local governments. When we do monitoring, we come out with results. When we do targeting, our people go to the field and target, so results come in. And that we relays with the local government or local government service. But the assembly structure is the local government also advises the assemblies in terms of the act forces to know that these are observations and these should be your priority areas. But the assembly will always need to agree.
Do you see them act on your recommendations?
Appreciably, there's a lot of action that way. The only point we have in Ghana, which again we need to address, is that most of the assemblies economically have a lot of problems. Where I went to Kwame Danso and said they are basically farmers. You cannot tax them that much. And how much do you get? They were telling me they get about, is it 1,000 a week or so. So they are constrained in the things they can do. But what comes to them should show effect on what they can actually do for their people. So yes, they are doing very well, but we need to follow up with the local government service and see whether we are going to get effect for money. And I think we'll continue to do that. So
back to the issue of would these people ever be on their own, or we've made up our minds that we'll continuously go through that cycle of sending them money at a certain point?
I would one day get to some of those who are beneficiaries of LEAP and supported by other interventions and what they've come out. If you go to Ghana East and other just close here, it will be interesting. There's somebody who through the intervention and through block farming has been able to do the block farming, it pays with the resources and sells some vegetables in front. Somebody through the means has been able to force to put up a single room store to operate, and they are coming out gradually. We wish others will learn from them. So there are a lot of them in the system. Others are in the nursing training colleges and things like that.
So what it is you're not forcing them to, but you want them to take their own initiatives and see how much the support is easing that pressure.
Exactly. You stayed in a situation. How do we ease the pressure for you to go to school? So that one is ease. Can you eat? Yes, we can eat now. Let's go to school. Do you have to pay for health? No, don't pay. Do you have to pay for school? Don't pay. Do you need to go to school uniforms? No, we'll supply you. And these are things that pushes you to school. All forms of enrollment. That helps you out.
But what it means is that if the school feeding project is not working well, that may affect. If NHIS is not working well, that may affect. What it means is that your intervention is also reliant on all these other things. It's connected.
Solid. They are part of interventions. But luckily enough, we are doing very well. Lucky enough, school feeding, we are left to last term, third term. So we are doing very soon. We'll finish that one.
If you say last term, third term, you're talking about the payments.
Yes, payments.
Yeah.
Last year, third term. We have started just a new term. So, and very soon we'll do that one.
So if the people who supplied the food have not been paid for last year third term,
no, it doesn't really.
And
it's a complete business.
So they understand. Do they understand?
They do. Some do, but of course, you know that some it delayed. But I'm just telling you that for now, this how far we've come, and we are prepared for the third term.
That has also been taken over by your ministry.
Yes, that's the ministerial responsibility that's given to the ministry, and we'll come back very strong.
Is that one that you requested for?
Not at all. Nobody knows how it happened. No, but that's why I'm saying that from hindsight, at times when we're even not there, I mean personally or other people, what does the president mean by gender, children, and social protection? Now it is becoming clearer what his vision was from this development. You don't need to request it. It is under the direction of the presidency. And I guess you know why he created social protection.
Are you making any significant changes?
The minister will be coming out very soon. For now, what is happening is that to understand the concept, we've paid the first one immediately. And then we have changed the mode of payment to electronic payment. So that it comes directly to you on your card. And you can access it anywhere. That's the immediate intervention. The audit process, short one is going on. Later, the bigger one will come to get on top of the issues. But eventually, when it is finished, the minister will come out and see which direction to go.
Are you interested in the meals that are served?
Very well, because it is not done just that. There's a nutrition component of it. And I think that if some do not do well, we should bring them up. But go to the other areas, you will love the Ghanaian menu. The point is that, are they doing it well? It's a good question. And monitor will bring such results. The meals, in terms of what has been planned, they don't cook their own meals. They plan a menu for you, for the nutrition division of the Ministry of Health. They plan it for you. And you have to cook like that. It depends on the geographical location. And for the menu, very interesting.
The understanding is that sometimes some parents, because they can't afford to give their children food, they just send them to school because of the food.
That is not the biggest problem. The purpose is that you should go to school. So if that's the case, then we have achieved our aim. If because of food, because we want an enrollment, and that's why we are taking you there to prevent a situation where the child will not go to school because you can't give the person food, then we have achieved the aim. But if there are others who don't go when there is food, we need to address that. But if that is the reason, then we have achieved the aim.
Because of the food come to school.
Exactly. That is the aim, to increase enrollment and get some nutritious food. So nutritious food. So if you are going because of food, then what you want to have achieved.
When they go because of food, are they open to learning, or they're just looking forward to the time when the food will be served?
It is very interesting. Looking for food is nothing wrong. But the importance, and when an atmosphere is created and you are part of the campus, you will learn. The teachers will then take over, you will learn. But as we're waiting for food, it is also good to wait for food. You need to eat. So there's nothing wrong with it. But the moment you are on campus, we want you to be on campus, we are all right. Teachers will take over.
There's so many of us who sit in the cities who don't even realize that some of the movies that we see, because yesterday when I saw these people walk the distance to go and fetch this dirty water that they are happy about, because I mean that's the only source of water, they find a way of boiling the water and trying to get it settled before they drink, which is a good thing. A lot of us don't realize that there are people living in this or these situations. Government can do so much, but all of us can also help. What can we do? I mean, individuals.
I love that statement, to the extent that a fellow Ghanaian, and that's why when we talk in Accra, we should wait. Outside, I said I was in somewhere called Kejaji, it's a district capital. Some 1.5 hours drive, there's a road construction going on from Kwame Danso. There's food, there's fishing there. people will need to appreciate. Ghanaians will need to appreciate their fellow human beings. So we need to drive home the fact that we have people of our own in those areas. They need to support. At times, remember those times, just do a comparison. Those times when people see others in town, they call them villagers. Very demeaning. It is lack of appreciation of their circumstance. The difference between the two of you is the opportunity you have and the person does not have. So when you see those people, you should rather appreciate their circumstances instead of condemnation. We have to change our mindset of those developments and appreciate what happens there. That appreciation alone, it's enough. Now, those times when you go to secondary school, you get somebody who will come from a small town, a village for that matter, and you realize that confidence is not there. But give the person a year or two, they overtake you and come on top of the class. So opportunities are not the same, and we should appreciate that very consciously. And that's why even admission to universities and things like that, consciously we are saying that, no, it is not fair to measure people by the same thing. When I was going to Sene East District, my driver just asked a question. Master, did you do the same examination with Achawata School? I said yes. So in trying to grade, are we fair to subject them to the same grading? And that's why they give provision for people from such areas.
But what are you saying? I mean, if you have to write the same entrance examination, irrespective of the infrastructure challenges, you still do. Are you saying we should
definitely
we should let them?
Yes.
What should we do?
Simple. You go to medical school, they say you need a 6. Is that right? And then I live in the remotest part and I get a 12. For all you know, in real comparison basis, I'm better. You want to measure real performance in terms of where I come from, the opportunities availability. So in that case, is it fair to say I did not get a 6? So there are considerations that is done at admissions level, and I think it is good. The universities have grasped it, that they give provision for those in less developed areas to come on block, and they are doing very well. And that's what I'm saying.
And you're thinking that in writing even the examination, we should give consideration to people
not
who are
the examination, the result. Basically,
results.
we have up to 24, you qualify. But because of competition, you may not get the opportunity to come to your choice. What provision shall we give to those from those areas? But luckily, there's a provision in the university admission.
Okay, that's the university you're saying.
Even
the computerized,
they are there. They are considered.
Computerized is looking for, if it is PRESEC and PRESEC is asking for a certain grade, that's what it's looking for.
Thank God they are doing it since last 2 years or 3. They have been doing that. They'll give you the grade, but they give you those who have higher grade, but from those deprived areas, they give the consideration to them, and that's what we want. Computerized does that.
Okay, so you're not saying, okay, perhaps you failed, but we'll consider you. That's not what you're saying.
No, not at all.
But you made the grade, but we're considering you because of where you're coming from.
Exactly, you get it. And it's being done.
But you know, as a Minister of State, when you travel outside, and you do travel a lot, in fact, all Ministers of State travel, and you see things that happen outside. Sometimes, as ordinary persons, we're just thinking, can't they just copy what they see?
You don't need to be a minister to travel. You can even be a minister if you don't like, to the extent of your appreciation of circumstances. Do you see it as nice, or you see it as a challenge? Do we come saying that these people are doing this and therefore it is that? No. There are some you cannot copy. There are some you need to learn from where they started. There are some we are better off from where we are. So it's a combination. So this is why they normally call it best practices. Now, we have come to a point where in those so-called best practices, we need to look at the local content of those of the so-called practices. And there are differences in us. I went to a place and they were eating something like a porridge. Maybe it's their food they like. In Ghana, porridge will not work. Local situation, who will give you ampesi, will give you banku and things like that. So we need to localize every situation because we also have a local condition. So you travel, you say it, but they came from somewhere. Some is just cut and paste. Others, it is practically impossible.
Let me give you this example.
Okay.
And sometimes when the reason that people even sometimes want to go and live outside, where there are housing, there are projects in housing, for instance, you don't need to earn so much to be able to live in an apartment. Sometimes there's a support because you have a child. It's not because you're poor, you're extremely poor. That's why you get that support. So there are these social interventions, not necessarily targeted at the very, very poor, that people can have access to. I mean, get an apartment and live there with your child or your children and things like that. Can we have the same thing here?
Mama, unfortunately, you may not be right. If you have a child, they only give you support when you are not a working mother and you are not married.
Yeah, but in Ghana, you don't get that.
Yes, yes, but let's put it in perspective before. And you know what some of the Ghanaians do. So it is what? I have a child, the child should not suffer. That's the essence of social protection. That is it. I'm not working, I have a child. What do I do? What do I like to have a child? The child should survive. And that's where the government supports you. And that's what we want to practice in
But
Ghana.
in Ghana, if you have a child and you are not working, do you get support?
No.
Unless you're put in that bracket
Exactly.
of extremely
the same
poor.
thing of abroad. Not everybody benefits from there unless you belong to that side. You are saying you are not working, so you become vulnerable. But I'm saying that we should create resources to use the resources support. We should create sustainability of funding to get it. The most important thing that Ghanaians will come to appreciate circumstances of our fellow human beings and make effort.
If I lost my job today and I've got 2 kids, can I get an intervention from the ministry?
It is so straight a question. I've lost my job, I have 2 kids. It's so straight a question. You don't target.
How do you want me to ask it? I mean, I'm looking for help. I don't have a job, but I have children.
We don't.
I have children. I have school fees to pay, and I have there's food to give them. Can I get an intervention?
It doesn't really work like that. There are other important considerations. I told you about the census, the process of enumeration that we go through. So yes and no. If you don't want your children, if you cannot take care of your children, there's nobody else. Give them to us. We'll take them to social welfare and take care of them. If you want to be irresponsible, the children should not suffer. If you want to domestically abuse the children, we are interested in them.
If I finish school, I'm trying to get a job. I'm not getting one. Is there some sort of intervention every month, every 2 months or something that the ministry, social protection can sort me out whilst I look for a job?
That's why I say it is still a vulnerability. So I said that everybody could be vulnerable at any time. Ninth person has finished school, cannot get a job. Is now vulnerable. Have you seen the situation? So the most important thing is what you are appreciating of the situation now. The moment we all come to appreciate, we will make solid inputs. Unfortunately, not all Ghanaians do appreciate it. Philanthropism is not a free meal. It's the fact that people have appreciated circumstances of people, not through their own creation. And therefore, let's support the system to move. So there are a lot of things we need to do as Ghanaians. So like I'm saying, we'll come out with social protection policy, and we'll solicit a lot of things from you. You're going to enjoy it. Let's talk. Let people appreciate. Let the people know that we are supporting a cause for good. To what extent do people understand those in that bracket? I'm sure not much has been done in terms of appreciation. And you said it right. You live in Accra, you don't say it. So we need to get to understand. I'm sure when Ghanaians come to understand, contributing to help the cause will not be easy.
But you know that
people were talking about, why don't you get workers to pay a percentage? Very nice one. It's also a consideration. And so let's go to
get workers to pay a certain percentage
to support social protection.
You know, the question that a lot of us would ask is, would it go to that cause?
I'm with you. Let's contribute and create accountability. Let's do that and ensure there's accountability. I'm with you. The question is relevant. Let's create it and make sure we create accountability. I'll support you. Let's all create accountability and assess and monitor and get report. Let's get registered organizations, NGOs, to do assessment, universities, academia, and then we'll find. If it doesn't go, let's combine to take the right action. Yes. Any contribution you make, create an accountability. Very important.
But, you know, we've seen examples from statutory funds that are not, you know, going people, at the time when they are supposed to.
Are people talking or not?
Yeah, but people are talking about what is being done.
No, something is being done. People's reactions should be taken into considerations, and that is very sensitive for a government, and I think that is very perfect. Let's Ghanaians create and continue to pursue accountability for every person. No problem. But when others are suffering, we have to bring them on board. So let's create. Let's be accountable. How much did we get? Where did it go? We should account for all of that. It's possible. We can do that.
So for now, our focus is on the rural poor.
No.
Not necessarily the rural poor, but the very poor.
Yes.
Whether urban or rural.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But you know that there are people who are okay on the outside, but who are poor inside. I mean, they don't have food to eat and things like that.
Oh, I don't know the inside. I thought you're talking about the emotional aspect.
No, not the emotional aspect.
Which is also a vulnerability.
No. I mean, there are people who maybe they have a place where they are.
Ghana, I think we are blessed. Yes, there are challenges, but at least people eat. 1 meal possible. People eat. We are not in that level. If you compare to others, we are fine, but we still need to pursue to a level of excellence.
But the question I'm asking is, there are no interventions for such people.
Oh, there are. If you are targeted,
Like-
it depends. It's not that you just see and then you say there was the intervention. It doesn't work that way. That's why I'm saying that one of the best things we are doing is to establish a national targeting unit. It's at our ministry now. It will be launched, I'm sure, in the next week
National
or two.
Targeting Unit. So it would target
That
who
register
and what?
first is going to get, in conjunction with Ghana Statistical Service, they are going to get National Household Registry. And we know when they finish their job, all the poor and extreme poor households in the country, all the targeting that has been done in that segment of society, what level it has reached, and the next stage that can help in moving them forward. And that will address what you're speaking about. Yes, and that's a project which is being done with support from World Bank. We are very well advanced in that regard. They are starting from northern regions and get those in that category fully registered. So now, you cannot move into the district and make a promise. It will be your trouble. You should come to anybody at all.
So who can do it? Even the
Anybody,
presidents?
if even presidents, other ministers in other ministries, you cannot do it. When the policy comes into being, you have a facility under your ministry. God bless you. You come to targeting center through the ministry, and then you'll be advised where it will have an effect. The outcome is always very important for us.
Let me get a better clarification. Are you saying that as a minister, I can't go to a certain community and say, I'll build you a borehole?
No. What basis informed you? What was the basis of that decision?
I'm supposed to get to the gender ministry.
We'll tell you what is happening in that community in terms of those who belong to that class. What is there, what is not there.
So every intervention that I want to make, I have to make reference.
Definitely with a targeting unit. So that you'll be well targeted. You know, there are issues people say you are doing practically, you are doing this. No. Get to the right position, get the paper, get the result, get the why, and know how you want to address it. You want to give borehole. What's the community size? Will borehole help? And what do we do? Is it for a segment or for the total community? Do we need two? What do we do? Do you do one? Is this discriminatory or just a support? What do we do? It's all be addressed. So don't just go on a targeted visit and know those who need what.
So every promise that we would hear when this program comes into effect will be a targeted one.
If not, you should ask the person how he wants to target that community. Because without that target, you cannot.
How would we measure? How would we?
It is done by Ghana Statistical
Those who are
Service.
watching you.
It is done by Ghana Statistical Service, and they do it occasionally. Currently, we have what is called the Ghana Living Standard Survey, SACS, GLSS. They are about starting the 7th. As we go ahead, you create a new situation and find out the situation and create a new register. So they will measure it, and that's the way to know. So if you want to know, targeting will give you the figures for every community. They are just starting. If they do it, I think when they complete, it will be very easier to do. So Minister, no problem. You can support with your programs in the budget. Yes, I want to do something under my budget. I can target center. What do you advise? Blah, blah, blah. These are the communities. What do you want to do? Borehole? Is it borehole? What's your ministry? Is it block farming? No, this place. They have enough land, they are doing farming, they don't have a problem with the land, so don't go to block farming there. They need only seeds, agric. You can target there. They want the seedlings to be able to grow their food. That's the place to go. So it will be given to you. And that will be targeted. It's business, that's not right. You do market survey. Market research will tell you the target, the segment, the group, the age, the geographical location, the age barrier.
This is beautiful, but we hope that it's not just on paper.
Keep on hoping.
But this is something that we will see happen on the ground.
Keep hoping and don't ever lose hope. Be optimistic, because we need to come out of various situations stronger than before. And please continue to tell people to appreciate those who are not privileged, like some of us.
Tomorrow, 17th of October, is International Day for the Eradication of Poverty. What's that last thing that you want to share with us on
Well,
this
the most
day?
important thing is that we should not live in a country where there's a discrimination. Over the period, when you get to the mighty Americas, they had, they even, because of minorities, racial and gender, they even equal employment opportunity, which is backed by law. Don't discriminate. The other point is that in this world of ours, don't leave anybody behind. We should create a matter of inclusivity. We should all move together. Please, government may not have worked somewhere, but there are people in the community, in the district, in the areas who can also offer support with their resources. There are people in this country who can take adequate care of 10, 20 people, 534, they can do that. Please, let's dovetail ourselves into that category and support the less privileged. And I'm sure when we do that, we'll appreciate that we are one Ghana and nobody should be left behind.
Sure. I thank you for your time today.
Thank you very much.
Mr. John Alexander Akom is a Deputy Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection. We'll bring you our piece on alternative farming for women in rural communities up next. But meet us at the Great Hall of the University of Ghana at 2 p.m. for the World Bank Multimedia Prosperity Summit. Stay with us.
The Ghanaian economy is heavily reliant on agriculture, and the rural farmer is crucial to the advancement of not only agriculture, but the economy as a whole. Many farmers are, however, losing their lands to estate developers and commercial firms who offer traditional leaders good money for farmlands, depriving these rural folks of their livelihood. Abokobi, a small farming community in the Ga East municipality in the Greater Accra region, is faced with such a challenge. Several farmers here have lost their farmlands. Many of them have diverted into other areas of farming. Mary and her husband have taken up the grass cutter business after they lost their farmlands to estate developers. She shares how profitable the business has been over the period. Why did you decide to go into grass cutter business? Not being a designer at home.
There are no farmlands, so we had to go into grass cutter business because it does require much space. We have benefited a lot from this business. We are now able to pay our children's school fees. We have not regretted venturing into this business.
Quite the breed, who fee, now Quanka Crabia, who is you are a bow. I feel so. Omu, if you are year, a mark of a so be brave, if I so be brave, if I so be brave, a bunny, say, a boy. Ye jai sa bidi ametono ani efo a ye nya asase nje binti nti ama mo fra school fees no so aboa ye bebre enwana ye deswa ye dwuma
Nti, how many years now?
ye started 20 then
How many grass cutters you started with
5 years bacha ya ton bebre and I can tell ya ton 100 school fees. You know, if I saw the breed,
how many grass cutters are in a mode chassis?
Yeah, the 10 chassis.
10. Okay.
We started with 10 grass cutters. Today we have a total of 165 grass cutters. This business as high as
I have 165.
165. 10 now modishas, no 160. Look at Toby Beckham and I say 10 now modishas, nana, I will be Bissana.
Look at Toby, the 10 come over to and I'm what the chassis.
Okay, okay. General, tell me, 5 years down the lane, what regret to say about business we want now over the past 5 years? Have you regretted doing this business?
Yes, young grass cutter. If you say, if I saw him be brave, it is not just say, you better also buy me. That's not look one or okay. Then a year manner, the sense of your winsu, cage to come.
I'm very happy we ventured into this business.
But who share grass cutter in general? I say net a idea demanding more time. Say describe it. Say net.
This is a time because in the journey, say we do have a senior. We need to know there's a rough car, a mountains, a baby. And sana udi bema wom
ejane sabe no mudi
omudi esre
esre de mari
esre no wini
okay
ba ku bi so wo ni wo Back when we were friend and two maba and two and so Sirenibi. And elephant grass, the blue damage. No so okay, a big matter for the man, no problem. Okay, a idea. Omejan and Mokotoana say, Fana Mokonamako. But I got on say, bro, in the bunch. Okay, that's ready on Koto.
Now, business no sanity. He now will say a boamu. 5 years a more business we are boamu. Mumbashe, school fees, lights bill, maybe beer. Grass cutter, Kitwari, see what turn my hina. It's me mouse cabby out in the business. The man is cabby because you're sure more. Only what to say, back 5, 6, 8. Last year be away 9. But you show me you know, but you know, Sikapa. Now, you're only Kakran, you're telling Papa Nankasam 2 million. 2 million.
Although this job is very demanding,
1.5 room.
We do our best to keep it
1 million room.
Oh. This business has a very market. We love how it's been over the past 5 years.
And yeah, idea you turn 10 cedis, 85 cedis. Who ya crown? Into one force and a talk if you way, choba for now, women is after some kitwa crown, the total 500. What in 50 Ghana? To say, oh, I say, okay, but 50 Ghana. I think it's wrong. 50 Ghana. We say, what all of 50 Ghana, son? Almost Kunya and I say, you bet Churchill, send over you. And fine. Now, also, I went for Amo. And he does, Sana, would be mana, obeying obey Cassia, but they say, we better a refreshing. Now they are feeding because I to say, we don't find milk room. You do mana, any bunching, a both fresh, and not dry. Fresh, okay. Would be manna, and not Now, Hababa could be and also, it is normal, this will not fine. In sanity, we feed you more. My journey, the idea, no board, Diana, Omodi Dimono, a idea, no board, because a bit of my time say, Banchina to who send to Kakrebi. Now 200, 250, 300. I've also a bonus say, and we are not feeling bad. Almost good in sack in 500, 400. Now, to obviously, we know the more Kakran. I now catch me say, Namibisa, in Kofuba and San, a bit top grass cotton. You know, Mufifi and now, Choba now, but Choba for the Toby. I feel so when I would see back, say, a big dog, the Toby cocoon, no my. Nothing so big, so very young, and also the Toby so big, the top, a person, Uncle Chet will be a dear. Or the grass cutter, I could have a Toby, I could change. No, I can't say, in go for the grass cutter, Papa. Were you bear man film 4 months in it? Until by 6 months, but no hour. 6 months, no hour. Okay. Just as I said, young show because almost that would be an hair, but that would be brave. That would be an hair, baby, so no. Because the more common doing until we are all not or no money doing, no money so. I say midwife for all one is and to be one said 8 and I said a woman not while women will not prepare fine. Women now go. And see all fresh sun, the sun group. No, museum cost special. I said the Jew. Just so many 6 weeks. And Sana, almost
na yeji mame no na fi ho na wa di ma ho na ya sha some fresh meal ebro no
okay
by the feed on the feed on because you warm 2 days pe no didi no mo sina almost no ani bi pa mo pe no mo sina bi dia bia ho bia
betimi aton no na owo sa na mentimi aton
ebe tras kakra so owo say say ma all to say 4 or 5 times nipa do aboa no waye mu asa na hen so cross na hen onto me will be na ya ton.
How many years now so ndi asa na maton no ana like babies no 6 months I mean you 6 months na mo beton ana o be di 1 year say na mo ton
nkito asedo
we say
gotcha 2 months but we ton
mo beton no say mo konye na but na hina we ready with me like we with me there in coin this anyama na how many months
5 months 6 months 7 months
okay
we ton
okay
say that we ton na entena asem
Go closer.
We did how many we?
Okay, what you go?
We did how many we? We say we did what?
We did 2 months.
2 months.
Marinati is also a cattle dairy farmer. She processes the milk she gets from the cattle into yogurt. She explains the process.
So I have with me Miss Nati, who is the wife of Tete Nati, and she has been processing the milk they get from the cattle into yogurt. I want her to tell me how she has been doing this and how profitable is this business to the family. So tell me, when you get the milk from the cattle, what process does it go through?
Okay. We pile it in the fridge for the midtime.
Okay.
After finishing, we pile it for some time. Then pasteurize it before we used to do the yogurt.
Okay. So what goes into pasteurizing the milk? Do you add some additives to it?
When we pasteurize, then we put it in the bowl for cooling down small. Sieving it. After sieve, then we have culture. We have culture. Then we put it inside. After sieve it, then we put it for bowl or ice chest to cover it with hot water. Put small hot water inside for 4 hours. After 4 hours, then turn to yogurt. Then we put it in the fridge. But nowadays, our problem is light on, light off, light off.
So because of that, you can't do the business.
The business is not going on like first.
Okay. So tell me, how are you able to get this on the market? Do you just do this for the house, or you sell this?
I sell it.
So how much does this bottle cost?
3 cedis.
3 cedis.
Yes.
Wow. So tell me, how is this business in general? Are you able to make some yield out of it?
First is good, but nowadays, because of light off, the one who have been coming to taking it and sell it for me, I do not come at all. So only occasions I do weddings before I get a market.
Okay.
But I sell it one in the house too.
So this business would have been, you would have gotten a lot of money out of it, but because of the power outage, you're unable to.
Because of the power, light on off, it is so it won't function like first.
Okay. So tell me, apart from running this yogurt business that you do for the family, what other thing do you also do?
I do farming too.
Okay.
I do farming work too.
So what do you what are you into specifically?
You plant some okra, cassava, and conchu.
So you do all this. So how was it something you decided to do, or because your husband is into it, that was how you are doing to support him?
My student, I've been attending school plenty, so I decided to do something to help the house.
Okay. So, have you regretted doing this farming business? Do you get the money that you need to support the family? You haven't regretted doing this business, but are you able to get the money that you need to do the business?
Sometimes you get, sometimes you lose. It depends on the rainy season. When the rain is okay, you get it. And nowadays we don't get. Apart people who have been helping us, we don't get. So we use the chemicals mostly.
Okay, so tell me generally, briefly, just summarize, tell me how this farming business in more or less.
Farming is like a lotto. Sometimes we win, sometimes we lose. That is good. Because there's something, things you are not buying with money. So it's good.
It's good. Okay. All right. Seth,